We're good? All right. I will call the meeting to order, the meeting of the St. Catharines Tourism Annual Shareholder Meeting. Are there any amendments to the agenda? No. So then I'm reading that? Okay. So the resolution is, be it resolved that the agenda for November 6, 2024 annual meeting of the member be approved. Can I get a mover? Mayor Cisco, and a seconder, Councillor Lindell. This is just show of hands. All in favor? Okie dokie. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? No. Okie dokie. So annual resolutions, the appointment of the auditor. Be it resolved that the appointment of the auditor of the corporation be the same firm chosen by the corporation of the city of St. Catharines pursuant to their required selection process and authorizing the directors to fix the auditor's remuneration. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Stevens, seconder, Mayor Cisco. And I will look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote. Oh, are there any questions? Sorry, I'm new.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Ratzlaff.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Garcia.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Aye.
And Chair McPherson.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Discussion items, appointment of directors. The resolution is up on the screen. Be it resolved that the following directors hold office for the length of the term of council or until their successors are appointed, whichever is earlier. Aaron Clark, Christine Douglas, Robin McPherson, Tom Natsopoulos, and Brian York. Questions? Oh, I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Ratzlaff, Councillor Phillips. Any questions? None. Look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Councillor Ratzlaff.
He has a question.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Yeah, just a quick question through you, Chair. You're doing a great job. What is the length of term? Sorry, is their length of term different than council's?
No, so through the chair to the councillor, it would end with this term of council. So it would be until the fall of 2026.
And then moving forward, their term of council will align with council's term.
Correct. So for like the next term of council, when we appoint individuals to the board, it would be for that duration of the next term of council.
All right, thank you.
No more questions? Excellent.
Councillor Ratzlaff then.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Garcia.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
In favor.
And Chair McPherson.
Aye.
And that's carried.
5.2, the 2025 Tourism St. Catharines Business Plan and Budget. I'll call on Julia Chofie, Administrative Coordinator, and Brian York, General Manager of Tourism St. Catharines, to present regarding the 2025 Tourism St. Catharines Business Plan and Budget.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Council. So Julie and I are going to take you through a few slides to highlight some of our in-market successes to date, which accompany the appendix business plan and the budget for 2025. Over the past year, St. Catharines has solidified its role as a vital part of Niagara's tourism scene, helping to establish the region as a top global destination. Through strategic investments in a wide variety of attractions, events, and experiences, St. Catharines has actively enhanced its profile, cementing its position as a dynamic and indispensable part of Niagara's tourism experience. Oh, I'm ahead of myself. Apologies. Paper copy was better. So with your, sorry. There we go. Together, we have outlined an ambitious vision to expand the tourism economy in St. Catharines. Our goal is to position the city as a premier destination, as you can see from the vision, mission, and values. Through strategic tourism promotion and collaboration with stakeholders, we're dedicated to excellence, sustainability, inclusivity, and responsible community development. We aspire to inspire investors. Is that better? Sorry, thank you. We aspire to inspire visitors to explore, connect, and return, contributing to the city's economic growth, cultural vitality, and overall quality of life. Next slide, please. With your continued support, we've been charting the course for TSDC and a joint DMO for the past 4 years. As you recall, in April of this year, Council as sole member approved a 2024 operating budget for Tourism St. Catharines, utilizing the municipal combination tax proceeds. With a total approved operating budget of $262,000, staff invested in a series of marketing initiatives along with furthering the administrative structure of the new joint DMO with the town of Lincoln. Julia is going to take you through a series of these initiatives that we have co-invested in. Julia?
Thank you, Brian. Some of the key initiatives we have seen through the work of the joint DNO collaborative marketing efforts and advertorial work and publications throughout and beyond Ontario. As you can see on the screen here, both St. Catharines and Lincoln, through their Niagara Benchlands brand, were featured in an ad titled Rural Roots and Urban Delights, highlighting the culinary scene across both communities. This particular publication, the Edible Tourism Guide Ottawa-Toronto, is a printed guide that distributes 45,000 copies to high-quality grocery stores, specialty food stores, farmers market, and retail venues 6 times throughout the year. The collaboration of staff with respect to the joint DMO also worked to develop a co-brand called Wander Niagara or Wander St. Catharines Benchlands, which has been leveraged in many of the campaigns that I will go through, a few of which will show that a key campaign has been the Horizon Travel magazine and included advertorials, as you can see on the screen before you. From May to December of this year, we have done 5 shared travel content articles to date. A paid Instagram campaign that leveraged different imagery from each community with the messaging "Adventure Awaits," in addition to participating in a digital email blast, boosted the engagement through Horizon and their subscribers. Horizon Travel magazine boasts 200,000 monthly readers with 150,000 unique subscribers. And the campaign with them, as mentioned, has been running since May and will run through the end of this year. Targeting online radio stations and podcasts is also a strong initiative that the Wander St. Catharines Benchland has put forth. We have leveraged advertising opportunities on the platform Odyssey with a focus on the U.S. drive markets, specifically Buffalo and Rochester. Through commercial ads and targeted display ads on screen, the goal here is to engage with adults in the 19 through 64 demographic. Leveraging the Wander brand, staff also placed targeted ads in the June and September issue of Canada Travel and Lifestyle magazine. This is a printed publication distributed to paid subscribers of the Globe and Mail and National Post. These were distributed across Ontario to over 100,000 readers with 50,000 publications delivered directly to homes. To piggyback on this publication, 6-second electronic billboard ads were placed on the eastbound Gardiner Expressway during the same time frame to maximize exposure to this drivable market. And the final key piece of collateral we'd like to share are the printed guides and corresponding postcards for all of our destinations that promote the Wander Niagara brand. 10,000 printed copies of the guides were created and distributed at partner locations around St. Catharines and Lincoln, as well as throughout the Ontario Visitor Centres across the province. The branding and content in the printed guide also translates to a new website, wanderniagara.com, that highlights all key tourism sectors, itineraries, and incorporates a digital directory. And this digital guide builds on the printed visitor guides, including more listings and opportunities for local businesses that support the tourism sector to be highlighted. It's a dynamic publication that can be downloaded from the Wander Niagara website and accessed via the QR code on the postcards I had previously mentioned, and is both desktop and mobile friendly. And beyond the work specific to the joint DMO and the Wander Niagara brand, our staff have also supported the Love STC work and large-scale events in St. Catharines this year, including the 2024 World Rowing Championships, Emancipation Day, Cicada Festival, Pride, and Niagara Grape and Wine Festival. This core work supporting St. Catharines events and partners continues to grow the visitor economy and drive overnight stays in the city. I'll pass it back to Brian, who will now highlight some of the initiatives that will be implemented through 2025, beyond those that I have spoken about, and will foster the tourism sector and leverage opportunities for tourism business development.
Thanks, Julia. The 25 proposed budget in the report before you highlights key investments for Tourism St. Catharines, along with new initiatives that are designed to unify and strengthen our sector. A couple of key new initiatives include new product development and sales initiatives. These are aiming to expand our culinary trails, adventure experiences, cultural heritage offerings, aligning with our brand and appealing to specific market segments. In addition, we've identified tourism sector advanced support pilot program. That pilot program will provide support for stakeholders in areas such as workforce training and development. And I'll just add, these are new initiatives to Tourism St. Catharines and the Corporation of St. Catharines, and that's something we've been investing in past, and we believe with our partner it's something we should be doing in the future and beyond. And the third one is enhanced industry engagement. A little bit similar, but this is more for the board and the supporters and the volunteer supporters of TSTC, and we're looking to engage the board in more industry events so that they can enhance our overall offering amongst the stakeholders. So staff are recommending a total operating budget as approved by the TSTC board in the amount of $409,000. Together, this investment aims to foster growth, resilience, and success in the local tourism economy. So we are available for questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you. Councillor Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the director, the reason that the expenses that you showed match exactly the revenue, I assume you came up with a revenue to match the expenses. Is that what happened? Or?
Yeah, through the chair to the councillor. Yes, so the bulk of the budget revenue is made up of the municipal accommodation tax collected. So 60% of the remittance goes to the TSTC board. The balance of 40 remains with the corporation for tourism-related investments, corporate investments. And then additionally, we have a transfer from reserve that we were holding to bring forward to bring the total budget of $409,000.
Right. So you adjusted the MAT, I can't call it the math tax, revenue.
Correct.
What you would take from it based on what the total expenses were you had to cover. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So the board recommendation. So we just need a mover? All right. If there's no other questions, then we need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Lindell, Councillor Phillips. And I'll look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Councillor Lindell,
Yes.
Councillor Phillips,
Yes.
Councillor Ratzoff,
Yes.
Councillor Stevens,
Yes.
Councillor Townsend,
Yes.
Councillor Williamson,
Yes.
Councillor Dodge,
Yes.
Councillor Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Sisko,
Indeed.
and Chair McPherson.
Absolutely.
And that's carried.
Next up, the service level agreement for the destination marketing organization with the town of Lincoln. I look to Julia Chofie and Brian York to provide some introductory comments.
Thank you, Chair. The report before you tonight as sole member follows on the April approval of the TSTC budget, destination plan, further directing staff to enter into a service level agreement with the town of Lincoln. The SLA attached as Appendix 1 outlines the obligations of the DMO, including services, objectives, reporting, performance measurement, as well as obligations of the TSTC board. Board composition is included there. You will note we're looking for 2 members from St. Catharines as we become established, one of which should be, we recommend, a member of council to carry us forward to operational excellence. Thank you.
Any questions? Mover and a seconder. Mayor Cisco, Counselor Stevens, and look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Once we get voting mode activated. Yeah. Mayor Cisco,
Indubitably.
Counselor Stevens,
Yes.
Counselor Ratzlaff,
Yes.
Counselor Phillips,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes?
Counselor Dodge,
Yes.
Counselor Townsend,
Yes.
Counselor Williamson,
Yes.
and Chair McPherson.
Aye.
And that's carried.
There is no closed session. There's no motion arising from the closed session. So confirmation of all acts. Resolution, be it resolved that all acts, contracts, proceedings, appointments, bylaws, elections, and payments enacted, made, done, given, and taken by the directors and the officers of the corporation referred to in the minutes of the corporation be and the same are hereby approved, sanctioned, and confirmed. A mover and a seconder. Counselor Lindell, Counselor Stevens. Then I look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Stevens,
Yes.
Counselor Townsend,
Yes.
Counselor Williamson,
Yes.
Counselor Dodge,
Yes.
Counselor Garcia,
Yes?
Counselor Phillips,
Yes.
Counselor Ratzlaff,
Yes.
Mayor Cisco,
Yep.
and Chair McPherson.
Aye.
And that's carried.
Can I have a council, as promised, as short as possible, can I have a counselor to move a resolution to adjourn the meeting? Mayor Cisco, seconder, Counselor Lindell. All in favor, vote by show of hands.
Good evening and welcome to the council budget meeting for Wednesday, November 6, 2024. Please rise for the playing of the national anthem and a moment of reflection.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command.
Car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
I will now look to Councilor McPherson to read the land acknowledgement.
The land on which council meets today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishbek peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many Indigenous peoples made up of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement should remind us of our responsibility to ensure the Dish, the territories on which we live and work, is never emptied, and that we take care of the land and its inhabitants in a way that ensures its future sustainability.
Thank you, Councilor. Chair's report. I will not take much time on the chair's report, only to emphasize again that we're looking at a new process again that started last year, where we have a 3-year budget, so we are readopting the last 2 years, 25 and 26. And also, we are under the strong mayor's legislation, so the mayor will be tabling his budget today. And there is an amendment process to what the mayor proposes, and I will look to the deputy clerk to review the amendment process.
Thank you, Chair Garcia. So we are in the middle of the process now for budget amendments. So this evening, the mayor will be presenting his budget to council and members of the public. Councilors will then be able to make amendments to the mayor's budget at the meeting of November 21st. It's very important that councilors take note that any amendments must be submitted by Wednesday, November 13th at 4 p.m. And then the agenda for the meeting happening on the 21st will be published on Friday, November the 15th. So that councilors are aware, throughout the year, some items may have been referred for inclusion in the readoption budgets. If those items are not now included in the mayor's budget, then those items are not considered as part of the budget. And if you would like to see those items be put in the budget, you will need to bring an amendment forward at the meeting of November the 21st. So just keep that in mind. If you do have any questions about the procedures or process, I welcome any phone calls or emails in the coming days and weeks. And if you, need more information on the actual budget items, I recommend reaching out to the treasurer because she is much more knowledgeable about the actual budgets than I am.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. We will look to adopt the agenda, and I believe there are no amendments. Okay. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda. Councilor Phillips, seconded Councilor Lindo. All in favor? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes. There are no minutes. The minutes from the meeting of October 23rd will be brought to the meeting November 21st for approval. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, just a reminder that when you have an interest, councilors are required to submit written statements of declarations via the online form. Number 5 is motion to move consent reports, and we have no consent reports. Or number 7, discussion reports. So we will move to presentations, and we are going to do 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3 as a group. So this is Office of the Mayor, Administration, Mayor's presentation of 2025 to 2026 multi-year readoption, capital budget, water and wastewater budget, and associated rates, and operating budget. I will now call upon Mayor Cisco, who will be presenting the 2025 to 2026 multi-year readoption, capital budget, water and wastewater budget, and operating budget.
Mark. Good evening, everybody, and I want to thank those who are here this evening to talk about the 2025-2026 readoption budget. As the budget chair indicated, we are still operating under the strong mayor situation, the legislation, and so we are going through this process this evening with the presentation of my budget, which you will have the opportunity to amend over the course of the next several weeks. I will jump right into things. We did receive a presentation about 2 weeks ago of staff's recommended budget. So tonight I'll be highlighting the changes that I am making to the staff recommended budget. Some of these changes, as has been indicated, are changes that council has already approved. We've dealt with them during the year, and so I have included many of those changes into my budget. So I will highlight those changes from what staff recommended here. The first is the capital budget, informed by the asset management plan, which we have received continual updates on over the last 10 years, but have started to get a much better sense of where our assets actually lie over the last few years. The increases that I am including are a $900,000 cost for pickleball courts in Burgoyne Woods, $1.1 million for upgrades to George Taylor Field. And then the third point there is something that was passed by council is $50,000 in 2025 and $175,000 in 2026 for amenities in the waterfront access master plan. That was passed by council earlier this year when we dealt with the waterfront access plan. These additional projects, the other two, the pickleball courts and George Taylor Field, come about from concerns that have been raised with respect to George Taylor Field about the state of the field and the ability for it to be played when it's wet. We have, looked at the data and recognized that we're losing a lot of dates to rainouts, but it's not simply a matter of it's raining today so we can't use the field. It's a matter of it rained on Monday, it's Wednesday, and we still can't use the field because of inadequate drainage. This is our premier baseball facility in the community. We do have opportunities for higher level baseball at that field, but until we have those issues rectified, those opportunities won't be able to be realized. So I have put this in the budget because I think it's important for the community to have a senior field that is working appropriately and is actually meeting the needs of the community. The others for pickleball courts, we've had a lot of discussions about pickleball. I've included this in the budget because it's, I think, a gap in our recreation services. Through no fault of anybody, pickleball has come about over the last 10 years. Those of us who were on council 10 years ago, pickleball was a funny word that we kind of chuckled at when we heard about it. But we also recognize that over the course of 10 years, it's become the fastest growing sport in North America, and we don't actually have any dedicated facilities to pickleball in the city. Burgoyne Woods seems like an appropriate place for it. The concerns we've heard in other communities are that pickleball can create noise issues for residential neighborhoods. Being in Burgoyne Woods eliminates that concern. It appears to be probably the best spot we could put it in the city. And I think it meets a need that we're seeing more and more of. One of our goals is to make sure that our community is able to stay active. This is something that many members of our community, including older adults, are saying is a way for them to stay active. And so I think it's a good choice for the community to have that amenity built in Burgoyne Woods, and this allows us to do that. Both of those two projects also are at this time contingent on getting a significant amount of money from grants. We are applying for grants for both of those projects. The outcome of those grant applications will come back to council. If council at that time decides that we don't want to go through with it because there weren't grants that were available, that's always an option for council at those times. These are the only changes that I have presented from October 23rd's staff presentation. The second budget is the water wastewater budget. I will state simply that there are no changes from what staff presented on October the 23rd. Finally, though, is the operating budget. There are several changes here. It should be pointed out, the first 5 are all things that council has already discussed and had conversations about. There's $50,000 for the fee waiving policy, which is to be paid from the Housing Accelerator Fund in 2024, $18,000 for conferences, et cetera, for counselors, $20,000 in the annual rental deferral for the junior A's, $20,000 in additional cleanups at Fairview and John Page Park, and $73,000 in 2025 and $118,000 in 2026 for Niagara District Airport for their additional support. As I said, all of those were approved by council at various times during the year. And so I've included them in my budget. The other is a change from the staff presented budget that I have added, which is $123,000 for a full-time permanent accessibility coordinator. The deadline for AODA compliance is at the beginning of next year. We had concerns raised by the accessibility committee that they felt there needed to be an accessibility coordinator full-time at the city. Listening to their arguments and looking into what other communities are doing, I felt that it would be us following best practices by including that accessibility coordinator position. I think it's an important step for the community. I think we do a very good job at the City of St. Catharines in ensuring that we are AODA compliant, but having that position is an added safeguard for those in our community that do require accessibility considerations. So as a summary for this upcoming budget, the 2025-2026 readoption operating budget, the numbers are listed there. I've only dealt with the annual median home impact for city taxes for the 2025 year. It's very difficult to try and identify what 2026's median home impact could be. I have an expectation that when we're back here next year, we will be discussing a number similar to this for 2026. But given that many things can change between now and then, we are focused for 2025 on 2.71% increase in city taxes, or $47.10. I did want to apologize to council. When we put out our press release last week, we had used different terminology, and so I want to be very clear. This is the actual dollar amount that the average house would pay. This is the actual increase that they would experience if we were to pass this budget. So the city portion of the tax bill has that 2.71% increase, which results in an estimated 5.27 total increase in the average property tax bill for residents, and I will break that down for everybody in a moment. Before I do that, though, changes on the property tax bill, I want to be very clear. We are basing this on the estimated 2025 assessment from MPAC, which won't be finalized until early December. We're basing it on the 2024 tax ratios, which are set by the region in early 2025, so those could change. And we're basing this on estimated regional waste and transit levies as of October 17th. Those have not been finalized yet at the region. We're basing it on the regional tax levy estimates from the July 25th budget planning, and I can tell you already that that number has actually come down. So the numbers that I'm presenting right now from the regional perspective are estimates. In at least one case, we know that that number is coming down based on the regional budget process, but it will still continue over the coming weeks. So as I said, the city's portion of the tax bill will go up by $47.10. That's a 2.71% increase in what the city is collecting, but on the average tax bill, which includes the regional portion, the education portion, and the city is responsible for 1.09% increase. The region's estimated levy property tax bill increase will be $149.86. for a 3.45 increase, okay? That's because their levy will be increasing, estimated right now at about 8%. The regional estimated special levy property tax increase, that goes to waste and to transit, will increase by $31 based on the presentations we received. And so all that comes out to an estimated total increase on the tax bill of 5.27. But again, it's important to note, the city is responsible for the top line. The city's responsibility is for the 1.09% on that tax bill, which is the 2.71% increase in what we are asking for. Okay? I know there's a lot of numbers. I always tell people, if you really want to make sure you've got it correct, those are the numbers right there. And when we talk to our residents, to be completely open and transparent to them, we need to report the 2.71% number because that's how much more the city is taking on the average tax bill next year. The 1.09% has to do with the entirety of the tax bill, but we don't have control over the entirety of the tax bill, only our portion. So I have been very clear in expressing the actual number that we're going up, which is 2.71%. A few things that I wanted to take note of, although the clerk has done a good job already. Council amendments obviously must be submitted to the deputy clerk by 4 p.m. on November the 13th. November 21st is your current scheduled amendment meeting. I will apologize right now. There is a regional council meeting that night. This was a night that was, the budget meeting was moved from another date, so I apologize that I'm not going to be able to be here. I was here last year for the amendment meeting, but I'm not able to be here this year because I do have regional council duties. But I don't really have a part in that meeting anyways because I don't have a vote, so I know I will hear all about it. November 25th is held for a second date for amendments if business is not concluded by the end of the meeting on the 21st. I have no doubt that council will be able to come to a conclusion on the 21st, but the 25th is there just in case. The 30-day amendment period ends on the 26th. Depending on the state of amendments, I will try to have an answer to council with respect to whether I'm utilizing a veto or not as quickly as possible. I have no interest in dragging this process out. So I will try to shorten the process as much as possible. I will make one request of the budget chair and of council. On November 21st, when you are considering amendments, I believe, and the clerk can clarify if I'm wrong, but I believe you can also make a motion at that time to shorten your period for amendments. If you know that you won't be using the meeting on the 25th for amendments, you could make the motion to close the amendment period at that time, and then I could provide a response to you right away, and we could probably wrap the budget up very quickly. This was something we didn't do last year, and so it stretched out the process longer than it needed to be. In a perfect world, I think we would all like to give as much clarity to our residents as early as possible. So if I can make that request, perhaps of the budget chair, that we can shorten the period when the time is appropriate, that might be helpful for all of us. I did want to go over vetoes once again. I know this is the most contentious part of this process. So I wanted to explain my reasoning for when I would contemplate using a veto. I have not felt any need to do that up to this point, but I did want to be clear. I will use a veto if I believe an amendment may harm residents or the services that they depend on. I will veto an amendment that may harm the city as a corporation. I will veto an amendment that's not submitted under the appropriate deadlines, which is why I appreciate the clerk being very clear about what the timelines are with respect to amendments. And on that, I will perhaps explain a little bit more. The amendment process can be difficult, and those of us who've been around the horseshoe for a while will remember the old process where we would be throwing out amendments on the floor and having staff madly trying to calculate things up on the lectern behind us to try and tell us how much an amendment might cost in terms of dollar value, increase in the percentage increase or decrease, whatever the case may be. The timelines are there to make sure that council has all the information related to the consequences of whatever amendment they may be making. I believe that that's important, and that's why I would veto an amendment that's not submitted under the appropriate deadlines. Amendments that are contrary to previous council decisions, amendments that are too broad or too vague, or amendments that would raise the levy by an unacceptable amount or without an increase in service levels. So those are the situations where I would choose to use my veto. I know the process requires that if and when I were to use a veto, I would have to provide an explanation to council, a written explanation. So I will, of course, do that if the situation arises. But I will say this process has been very collaborative over the last 2 years. I think it's been a very positive process. And I think it's created a lot more clarity for all of us about the lines of accountability when it comes to the budget. So with that, I am done my presentation. I am happy to take any questions at the discretion of the chair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We will now entertain questions from council. I know there is a lot there altogether, but we're already fairly aware of what was going to be presented from the last meeting we had. So any questions? I have Councilor Williamson.
Yeah, just in terms of process, we can ask the mayor questions. We can also ask staff questions at this point as well.
Oh, I believe so, yes.
Okay, well, just a law ball to the mayor then. In terms of public consultation, what vehicles can members of the public use to involve themselves and engage in this process? I know we've had a fair bit of outreach and attempts to inform residents what's going on. I just wonder if you could perhaps elaborate on ways and means that people can contact us or yourself.
So at this stage, and I appreciate that question because it came up a little bit last year, and I don't think my office did a great job of messaging, how people will get involved at this point. The best option for residents, if they want to see changes, they want to see amendments, is to speak directly to their councilors. You can also reach out to budget@stcatharines.ca. I believe that goes to staff and the budget chair, who can then disseminate that information to members of the budget committee, which is all of us. But the best way, if residents see things that they would like to see changed, is to reach out in that way. I appreciate your comments. We have done a lot of engagement. We did the telephone town hall. We've had a number of opportunities to speak to the public about the budget. We've done a number of media pieces about it to try and make people aware. And it's been an interesting experience because this is the second year of our first multi-year budget, trying to explain to folks what exactly the readoption process looks like as opposed to what it looked like traditionally when we would do a new budget every year. But I think residents have understood this process pretty well. And I will say, a couple of people have reached out to our office and said they think that the new process makes more sense because it provides better predictability, not just for staff, which was part of the reason why we did it, but for residents as well. They're comfortable with, they had a sense of what the tax increase would look like this year. We've come in lower than what we believed it would be, to a fairly significant margin. So I think people are happy with that.
Thank you. Then my other questions are through the chair to staff members. In terms of the table 1 in the capital budget, we've moved the waterfront accessibility plan, a couple items, that is Brock Street, Lake Street, and the Simcoe Road Allowance improvements to 2026. And I know there's a number of people in the neighborhood of Simcoe Street who don't see really the point of replacing those stairs, unlike the stairs that are being currently replaced that connect from J.C. Park up to Canal Street, which had roads or salt put on them for traction and stuff, and they were definitely needed to be replaced. The Simcoe Street stairs, and you can't make them perfectly accessible in any case because you're going to end up at the lake anyway, either on some kind of a concrete pad or some rock. So anyway, my comment is I don't think we need to necessarily spend $37.5 on the Simcoe Street stairs. And I guess we would probably like particularly Councilor Garcia and myself, because these three are in our ward, we'd like to see what those expenditures are about. And there's I think $450,000 also mentioned for road allowance improvement. So staff doesn't have to necessarily respond to me tonight, but since that's at the top of the capital budget, I have questions about those, and I think there's an opportunity to save some money by not doing Simcoe Street. My other comment, and I guess this is whoever would like to take it, in the budget there's significant dollars for sports lighting upgrade. I take it it's a switch to LED lights at Lancaster and at Kiwanis. Is it really going to cost us this much money to make those conversions? There's a possibility that those bids could come under the hundreds of thousands of dollars that are allocated. Through you, Mr. Chair,
Thank-
to Mr.
thank you,
Martuccio, or
Councillor.
whoever would like to answer.
Yeah, I will look to Director Martuccio, I believe certainly for the first one and probably for the second one as well.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, with regards to the stairs, staff are implementing the recommendations that were outlined in the Waterfront Access Master Plan. And at Simcoe Street, the plan did identify that those stairs would eventually be removed. And that is what is planned in the work. So we are just implementing the works that were identified in the Waterfront Access Master Plan, and there was significant public engagement that we undertook in developing that plan. With regards to the lighting for the sports field, staff are trying to implement LED lighting at as many sports parks as we can in order to meet our energy reduction initiatives and greenhouse gas emission initiatives. So will it cost that much? Generally, in the past, we've been fairly close to the budgets that we've put in the capital budget. If there are any savings, we would take those savings and apply them to other sports field retrofits that need to be done throughout the city.
Thanks, and while we're at it, is there any possibilities of some green energy grants or anything from senior levels of government or other organizations?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, yes, we're constantly engaged with IESO as well as other community partners such as Electra to take advantage of any grants that are available when we carry out those projects.
Thank you very much. And then just a couple general comments. I'm, as I usually make a statement on, I'm concerned about CIP costs and lost revenues, and I know we're going to have a review of that next year, and I think that's going to be an important review to undertake. So I know that that's going to go through as what we have in here, but I do note some increases, and I'm concerned about those, as some other people I'm certain are also. And just to use a generic term of trees, I don't see too much of an increase in terms of the tree budget, and if we are looking to expand the canopy, you would think that would be reflected in the budget. Also, it's another item, I hope, where we are able to get some money from senior levels of government or other environmental organizations to enhance our ability to improve the urban tree canopy. And there are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. I will look to Director Christie or Manager Cooper to comment on the tree budget.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor, the budget allotted for our tree planting program has not changed. We're seeing fluctuations in pricing for different species of trees as we order them. So certainly we're aware of that. And we are always seeking other sources of funding. We're partnering with NPCA and other organizations. So we will take advantage of whatever opportunities are out there to supplement our own funding.
Thank you, Director. And before we move to the next councillor, just a comment on Councillor Williamson's question about Simcoe Street. I will support that those stairs are not only very much used, but I believe those stairs are a lot newer than a lot of the other stairs. If you check the age of them, I believe some of the neighbors can testify to when they were built, and they're much newer than some of the other steel stairs. So I'll chat with Director Martuccio on that. Okay, so I have Councillor Phillips.
Excuse me, through you, Chair, to Director Christie. As far as the pickleball courts are concerned, we did have a presentation, if you remember, with the Recreation Master Plan Committee by the pickleball group, and of course they wanted the site enclosed, and I'm certainly not going to make that amendment right now. However, the money that has been set aside for construction, is that site going to be prepared so that in the future, if the community of the pickleball group wanted to raise funds for to cover that, will there be, we'll say, power accessible directly to the site so that if they want to cover it, they'll be able to do so?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the councillor. Thanks for the question. Yes, the site will be prepped. There's already power there because that was a site for the old pool.
Okay.
And other infrastructure. I believe the only infrastructure that's not that deep into the park is gas. But we do have a washroom out there as well. And the site will be prepped in such a way that if we are going to add any structure over top of the outdoor courts, we will have enough room to be able to add those things that are required.
Great. And we're going to get construction started as soon as possible, correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct.
I look forward to playing pickleball in Burgoyne Woods next year.
So do I.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from council? Seeing none, I had a couple of questions or comments, Mr. Mayor. One of them is to staff regarding the changes in the capital budget, which includes some additional debt. I would like to ask the director, would that get us over the debt ratio target?
Through you, Mr. Chair, to you, Mr. Chair, with regards to the projects that are presented here, they are within the debt management strategy that has been approved by council.
Thank you. Then a comment on the water and wastewater, which I make every year. I know we have pre-approved these rates and the mayor is not changing them, but it's a very sensitive issue with the public, as we know, because the old argument, no one can understand how they're not using as much water potentially, but they're paying more. So emphasize to staff, the director's staff, that we really need to do a great job of communicating the rationale for these increases. And the last comment I would make is I wanted to thank the mayor for coming in that increase below 3%. I think that I certainly wanted to come below 3%, and I would like to keep it there in the future. So thank you for that.
Chair, if I can just add, I do want to say thank you to yourself, to the deputy mayor, to all members of council. I wasn't kidding when I said I really think that this budget process is a far more collaborative effort. I know you and I have met on a number of issues. A number of other councilors have sat down with me, have expressed concerns about taxpayer affordability, about projects that need to be done in different parts of the city. This is a better process. I think it allows all of us to feel a greater sense of ownership over the budget. And so I just want to say thank you to all members of council for that, because I think our budget process now is as good as it's been, from my perspective, in the 14 years I've been on council. So I just wanted to say thank you to you for your leadership and to council for the efforts that they're putting in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I get a councilor to move the motion to receive the presentation from Mayor Sisco? Councilor Lindahl, seconded by Councilor Stevens. And yeah, just a hand vote on that, so all in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, we have number 9 is call for notice of motion to amend the budget at the meeting of November 21st. The deputy clerk has already reminded us of the process, and so has the mayor, and so have I, but maybe one more time. You don't have to make a notice of motion today, but you're able to if you wish, and if not, you have until.
So just, yes, to, I guess, finish that thought. If a councilor wishes to tonight, they could just provide simple notice of their intention to bring a motion forward, which would then allow staff to start working with that councilor on their motion for the meeting of the 21st. But if a councilor is looking forward to bring forward an amendment, it must be submitted by 4 p.m. on Wednesday, November the 13th, which is 1 week today.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Any notices of motion? Seeing none, we will move to number 10, which is request for information about the budget. So that is different from the notice of motion on amendments in that it would refer to a specific request for information a councilor has where they would be requesting information that would be supplied by staff in the form of a memo. Any such request? Seeing none, we have 11 is closed session, and we have no closed session, so we will move to the bylaw. Can I have a councilor to move the motion? Councilor McPherson, and a seconder, Councilor Lindell, so that the bylaw listed on the council budget agenda be read a first time, considered and passed. A bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its council budget meeting held on the 6th of November of 2024. One reading with respect to confirming the proceedings of the meeting held on November 6, 2024. That it be signed and executed by the chair and the deputy clerk. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Mayor Sisco, seconded by Councilor Stevens. All in favor? Thank you, everybody, and don't get spoiled and assume that every meeting is going to be this quick.